of all, I'd like to say I don't know how much background this group has on some of the work we've been doing, but I work with Dr. Roger Bernier, and he's actually out of town, so I'm kind of filling in for him right now. I'm getting some feedback, so I'm going to try to speak and then pause a little bit.
We hear you just fine here.
Okay. First, I'd like to begin, I guess, and talk a little bit about some of the work we've been doing with what we'd like to call consequential public engagement. And if you could go to the next slide, I'd like to give you a little bit of background for some of the reason why we've kind of moved to this enhanced version of public engagement, which involves dialogue and deliberation. In 2001, Dr. Bernier went to a citizen hearing, and he basically saw kind of the gap between citizens' perspective and the perspective of the scientists that were presenting research on vaccine and autism. And a citizen said to him that his research was dead, or that the research was dead on arrival. So that he saw that gap, and this idea of engaging the citizens was seen more deeply, was seen as a way to build trust between citizens and government. And you can move to the next slide. So in 2005, a pilot project was started that relied heavily on deliberation as kind of the key operational principle, I guess. And so a pilot project was done on vaccination prioritization for pandemic influenza. And this project was seen as kind of proof of the principle that citizens can be engaged to reach a productive outcome on an important policy question where both facts and values are involved. And then also CDC has a strategic imperative to be customer-centric or consumer-centric. So the idea is that by engaging citizens, we're better kind of serving the citizens who are our customers. And then in 2007, we had a workshop where we kind of tried to group everyone from all different parts of the agency to see how many people had been engaging citizens in different areas, and we found that there were 24 projects that involved some type of citizen engagement or public participation. So, so we're kind of trying to work towards, spreading this idea of more in-depth engagement across the agency. And really what we've tried to do, you can go to the next slide, is the model that we've been using kind of relies on 10 principles and a couple that are then kind of operationalized into a model. And these are, first, the desire for advice and the decision on the table are real. It's some type of pending policy decision where there seems to be a need for citizen values as well as scientific facts to make that decision. There needs to be adequate time to deliberate and clarity of purpose, and that's something that we found is really difficult, is kind of nailing down what the purpose is or what the question that we want citizens to address is. The question or the decision has to have knowledge of facts and also values. So it's like the science provides the facts and the citizens are experts on values. So that's what the insight that they provide. The next slide, please. Also, active agency staff and sufficient resources are needed. That's really, really important, and we've seen that's kind of a lesson we've learned through some of the projects we've done. Impartial citizens at large and partisan stakeholders participate. So this is something that's a little bit different in our way of doing things, and maybe some of the ways that other people do things is we involve both citizens that don't seem to have a special interest in it as well as stakeholders, and try to kind of pull those two perspectives into what we could like to call a societal perspective. And we also strive for a critical mass, and we strive for diversity in the representation. The next slide, please. We believe it's important to provide unbiased information and neutral facilitation, so we always use a third-party facilitation team. And the discussion occurs through genuine dialogue and thoughtful deliberation, and that we operationalize that in small and large group discussions. Then a best option is chosen. We like it. There doesn't have to be consensus, but we like at the end of the day for there to be some type of option that's chosen between a particular policy choice and then it's agreed upon. And then another key to this is that the public's advice receives serious consideration by decision makers, so it's kind of important to identify who those decision makers are before, and then before we even start this, so that then we can kind of get their buy-in. And even sometimes we've had them, or most of the time the ideal is to have them actually attend a lot of the meetings that we hold. And then the participants will receive candid feedback about the decision. So how these models or these principles are kind of operationalized into a model is the next slide. And that's that we've chosen 4 different sites generally in the different areas kind of across the country. We strive to have 100 citizens that are kind of representative of the population in each area. This hasn't been scientifically, we haven't done random sampling or anything like that, but generally I think that might be kind of a move that we're heading more towards to try to achieve more diversity.
Just about another 30 seconds, Caitlin.
Okay, and then there's a day-long, they happen day-long with dialogue and deliberation. That's for the citizens. And then in the stakeholder meetings, it's two-day-long meetings, one before the citizens, one after the citizens, and those generally we generally strive to have about between 30 and 40 stakeholders. And then the other slides I have are really just some of the projects we've done. We've done about, so far to date, about 9 projects, and there are some more that are kind of up and coming.